straight on to one of the stories, the big stories we're tracking today. Now, the decision not to give one of the legendary cricket coaches of India a state funeral has earned the Maharashtra government a lot of criticism. Now, Ramakant Achrekar, who was Sachin Tendulkar's childhood coach, was also a Padma Shri awardee. The Maharashtra Housing Minister Prakash Mehta, who was present at the funeral, blamed a communication gap for not giving a state funeral. He called the mistake sad and unfortunate. Achrekar passed away on the 2nd of January.
भारत सरकार ने उन्हें पद्मश्री के पद से नवाजा था, सम्मानित किया था। उनके निधन के बाद सरकार की जिम्मेदारी थी कि पूरे सम्मान से उनका राष्ट्रीय सम्मान के साथ अंतिम संस्कार करवाती, लेकिन सरकार ने ऐसा नहीं किया। श्री देवी का देहांत हो जाए, मुख्यमंत्री दौड़े दौड़े चले जाते हैं, पूरी बीजेपी और सरकार खड़ी हो जाती है।
So Ramakant Achrekar is perhaps one of the greatest cricket icons as a coach that this country has ever seen. He was crucial in helping 12 international cricketers graduate from the Maidans of Mumbai to the Indian team. And many thought that because of his stature, because of the fact that he is one of the most celebrated people across society in Maharashtra, that he'd be given state honours. He is a Padma Shri also, let's not forget that. For his contribution to the sport of cricket, for creating legends like Sachin Tendulkar, for creating people like Vinod, Kambli as well, who again migrated along with Sachin Tendulkar from the Maidans, from school cricket to go on to play for India. He's played a pivotal role in the careers of so many cricketers in this country, and that is why a number of people were very surprised, including some politicians, but former cricketers as well, extremely surprised that Ramakant Achrekar was not given state honours. Now, the Maharashtra government on their part has tried to say that this was a communication gap that led to this situation. The Housing Minister Maharashtra Prakash Mehta called this unfortunate. He called it sad. But you know, many cricketers and many people who love the sport of cricket, who've been a part of the sport of cricket, who've watched Ramakant Achrekar on the Maidans of Mumbai, are a little disappointed today that this icon was not given the right honour.
All right, Sanjeev Deshpande of the MNS is joining me on the phone line. Thank you, Mr. Deshpande, for joining us. Your response, of course, to the fact that Ramakant Achrekar was not given state honours despite the contribution that he has obviously made to the field of cricket.
Of course, nobody can forget the contribution of Ramakant Achrekar, sir. He has produced players like Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli, and not only Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kambli, but many students from Shivaji Park and the other area who have contributed for the field of cricket. And it was very sad and very disappointing on the part of government that they have not given him state. It is not only, it is very, it is negligence on the part of the government, and it's really unforgivable.
Absolutely. Mr. Deshpande, if I could request you to please stay with us. Also joining me is Gaurav Gupta. Gaurav, thanks for joining in. Your response, of course, now, obviously, after everything is done, we are seeing the response coming in, saying that there was not enough communication and there were lapses in communication, which is why this slipped through the cracks. But that's hardly an excuse.
I agree with you that there is no excuse for this kind of this kind of an act on part of the government. I mean, when celebrities and other walks of life get a state favor. I mean, you had Mr. Ajit Wadekar, former India captain, who 6 months back got received a state farewell. I can't understand what was state honors while this thing before his cremation. Why couldn't Mr. Achrekar, Ramakant Achrekar, receive the same honor? I mean, this really is an insult to a big, the biggest coach perhaps cricket has seen. He's produced the biggest cricketer of all times. He's produced so many cricketers. He was so hugely respected, such a wonderful person, and a pride of Maharashtra and India. And this is not how you treat your heroes. You also need to honor the people who produce our heroes, and he was one such personality. It really is an extremely sad case of a state not recognizing its true hero, and I think that Mr. Devendra, the Chief Minister, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, will surely be a bit embarrassed about this whole episode, and there should be some damage control, but then there cannot be any damage control actually for what has actually already happened.
Right, exactly. Sanjeev Deshpande, coming back to you, do you believe that there can be any sort of damage control, anything that can be done now by the government?
There is a big kahavat, "Bhool se gadi so haut se nahi aati." So I don't think there could be any damage control regarding this, because you see, we have seen the heroes, we always recognize the heroes. But the person who have made these heroes, who has sacrificed whole of his life on the field to make these heroes, and it is very unforgivable that you don't, what was, because the news about his demises came at 5:30, so there was a whole day left with the government to do all sort of arrangements for his funeral, but still they were so lethargic, and there was so negligence on the part of the government, and they have not done anything. They just the person who was responsible for this should be given some sort of punishment, so that there should be a precedent should be set up for this.
Right. So Mr. Deshpande, do you believe that, I mean, this excuse that we heard of things slipping through the cracks and the lack of communication aspect?
No, I think the protocol officer should be punished for this lack of communication, or whatever it is, whatever the reasons they are giving. But the protocol officer should be held responsible. An inquiry should be set up, but that why this communication gap was there, and who was responsible, and all those people who were responsible for these things should be punished.
All right, Mr. Deshpande, thank you for joining us. Gaurav, if you're still with us, do you in any way believe this is reflective of, the fact, the way we treat people, and the way the sports in our country as well? Although cricket is usually an exception to that rule, but here something like this slipping through the cracks, there can obviously be no good explanation for it.
I completely agree with you. I think it reflects in the way we hold our celebrities in high pedestal. We hold our heroes in high pedestal. Our Bollywood stars. Remember Sridevi got received a state farewell, and I think that was well deserved. And I mean, she was such a big star. But then we do not honor the people who make these stars. And this was a case where we could have done that, and sadly we have failed in our duty to do that. And definitely I agree with Mr. Deshpande that certain heads should roll. The people who are responsible for this mess, they should be held accountable and be sacked. And really, it is a massively embarrassing thing for the chief minister, as I said. Because I mean, the prime minister tweeted about this. This happened at 5:30 in the evening the previous day. You had all the time in the world to organize a good, fantastic. Distinguished state honors farewell, and this is what you end up doing. You're so negligent. I mean, this is not acceptable. This is just not acceptable. And it does reflect sadly on the way, though cricket is it's more than a sport for us, it's a religion, but still we do not honor people who make our cricketers. And this was one such person who was selfless, who produced countless number of cricketers, and the best batsman the world has ever seen. And this is how we treat him. It's truly unfortunate.
Absolutely, Gaurav. In fact, what's been the response from the cricketing fraternity? Because I'm sure a lot of them did expect full state honours for him.
Yesterday I got a call from Mr. Chandrakant Pandit, who was one of his students, and he was extremely upset about it. His point was very simple, that when you can give it to a Bollywood star like Sridevi, then why not Mr. Ramakant Achrekar, who's helped out so many lives, who's helped produce so many elite level cricketers, top cricketers for you. He was extremely hurt, and he was like, all the people around Mr. Achrekar are extremely hurt about it, and I could sense that feeling when I went to the cremation yesterday while covering his cremation yesterday. It was there was a pall of gloom, and there was a certain disappointment with the government, which is why the housing minister, Mr. Prakash Mehra, he made no bones about the fact that it was a mistake on the government's part, and he was apologetic about it. And there was a communication gap. Then communication gap is a silly excuse. It's a very lame excuse for something like this that has happened. It's just that I think the government was caught napping, and really it doesn't reflect well on this government at all.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gaurav, for joining us with your perspective. It's extremely unfortunate that Ramakant Achrekar, a man who was so instrumental in creating such great cricketers and in putting a big part of putting India on at where the cricket is at the moment, big part of changing so many lives, bringing so many great cricketers to international cricket, was not given state honours after he passed away.